Hello guys. So in this video I want to talk to you about query as query, or to put it better, query based on ObjectScript. So most likely you know that there is another type of query based on SQL statement, which is a simpler type where you just put in the SQL statement like select something from some table where something happens. And it allows you to query a table that you already have. But what if you need to query something else? For example, something that's not stored in the database. What if you want to query something that is the result of the outgoing REST or SOAP query, or maybe you want to generate something while the program is running or something else. So in this case, you need to use the query which is based on user-written code, which allows you to do everything that I mentioned above. So we'll be working with the class sample human that extends persistent and populate. So it extends persistent because in this case I want to query something from the database, and it extends populate because I'm really lazy and I really don't want to create all the data by hand. So this class has two properties that are stored in the database. That's property name and property date of birth. There's also a calculated property age, which is SQL computed, which means that it will be a column in the relational table. And it's calculated as current date minus date of birth divided by the number of days in the year. So with this class, we're going to add a class query. We can do it in several ways. And actually, that's why I really like Studio for the beginners, because the Studio has lots of useful wizards that make life easier and make all this much easier for those who see Iris for the first time. So you can go via class add query, or you can use this icon new query here, and the wizard opens and you just need to provide all the necessary data. So let's call our query get all older than. We select that it is based on user-written code. We can add an optional description, but I'll skip it. Let's say we have an argument, and it is age, which is of type integer, and default value is 65. So basically we want all the humans who are older than 65. So the next step is really important. When we're talking about SQL-based queries, system gets all the needed information from your columns of the table. So basically their names, their types, whatever, it all is stored in the description of your classes or of your table. When we're talking about queries based on code, the system has no idea what's going on, how many columns you'll have in the result set, what types they are, nothing. So we need to provide all this information. We'll have two resulting columns. So the first one is name, the second one is age. And that's basically it. We press finish and we'll get a couple of new lines of code. So first of all, we'll get a query with our name, with the parameter age, which is integer, and default value 65. We'll see that it is of type query, not SQL query. And the row specification says that a name is of type name and age is integer. The next thing we need not forget is to say that this is SQL procedure. So basically that we can query this thing from wherever. To make it faster, I'll just insert all the code here. So execute. Oops, sorry, not this. In the execute, we declare a cursor. We select name age from sample human, where age is greater or equal than our parameter. Actually, let's look at these class methods. We have a query, and for that query, we have three class methods. First one is with suffix execute, next one close, and fetch. So basically, class method execute is called when you execute the query. It has a parameter which is sent by reference QHandle, which is binary, and you have our parameter age. You can see that all of these class methods have the same parameter QHandle, which is passed by reference. And it means that basically whatever data we want to put as a result set, we can put it inside, for example, execute in this QHandle. And then we can get this data from fetch and release all the resources in close. So we have our cursor, which we declare and open in the execute. Then in the fetch, which is called when we get the next line, next row in the result set, we're going to fetch our data from our cursor. You can see here we have two additional parameters, which are row as a list. Basically here we have the data of this row on which we're standing, and we have a flag at end, which shows whether we reached the end of this query, or rather the end of this result set or not. So if we have reached the end, we set at end 1, row is empty. If we haven't, then we set to our system list our name and age. And in the close, we just release the resources. In our case, we close the cursor. So this thing done, we compile, and now we want to call this query. I already have this code. You can get it from the article. So we set this routine as a debug target, and we start. Because I have already created lots of data using method populate, I have 732 rows as a result. So you can see everyone is older than 65. So that's one approach. Another approach that is in the article, it allows you to generate data ad hoc. So basically, while the program is working. So, for example, we just need to have some random number of people older than, for example, our goal 65. So instead of querying the actual database, the actual results, we can do it in a different way. So basically, what do we get? For example, we set our QHandle populated with a system list, and we say that the first item in this list, it's how many rows we need to fetch in our result set. Second one, it's the position of the current row, which is 0 because we haven't fetched anything, and we need to pass on the age, or basically our parameter. In the close, because we don't have any cursor, we have nothing, so basically we just need to set QHandle to empty, thus releasing the resources. And actually in the fetch, we'll be generating the necessary data. Where is it? Probably this one. So what do we have? First of all, we need to check if we have reached the end of our result set. Otherwise, it will be eternal loop. If we have, so basically our second item in the list equals our first. It means that we have reached the end. We say that row is empty and we are at the end. If not, we are just populating data from our row using the class methods from populateUtils. So basically, we are taking name and we're taking integer. And here we are using the data that we wish to say. So, for example, here we get our age, and we set it as a minimum age of a person and set in maximum age at 90. We increase the position of our current line, and we quit. So basically, we compile this thing, and we run. And here we can see that here we have 64 rows, 64 people with the age older than 65 years old. So that's it. That's two examples of how you can use these queries that are based on the user-written code. I hope you find it useful, and probably you'll even try to use it in your programs. So have fun. Thank you for watching.